Some of the world's greatest inventions weren't planned at all. They were complete accidents. From delicious snacks to life-changing gadgets, these discoveries shaped our lives in ways no one expected. So, let's dive into the top 10 accidental inventions that changed the world. Number 10. Snow globes, the accidental invention. Back in the late 1800s, an inventor was simply trying to improve the brightness of a light bulb. He experimented by adding water and tiny reflective particles inside, hoping the bulb would shine more brilliantly. Instead, something unexpected happened. The particles swirled around beautifully, creating a magical snowfall effect. Though his light bulb idea failed, he had unknowingly created the first version of a snow globe. These fascinating little objects quickly gained attention and made their grand debut at the Paris Universal Expo of 1878, where people instantly fell in love with them. Later, a creative Austrian decided to place a miniature Eiffel Tower inside, and just like that, the classic souvenir snow globe was born. Number 9. Popsicle, the frozen treat accident. In 1905, an 11-year-old boy named Frank Epperson made one of the sweetest mistakes in history. One evening, while experimenting with flavored soda powder and water, he left his drink outside with the stirring stick still in it. Overnight, the cold weather worked its magic, and by morning, the liquid had frozen solid around the stick. Frank pulled it out and discovered a delicious frozen treat on a stick. Excited, he started calling it the Popsicle, a playful mix of his name and the word icicle. Years later, his children insisted on renaming it Popsicle, and that catchy name stuck. What started as a simple childhood accident eventually grew into a billion-dollar industry and a timeless summer favorite. Number 8. Potato chips, a salty surprise. In 1853, at a fancy resort in Saratoga Springs, New York, Chef George Crumb faced a very demanding customer. The man kept sending back his French fries, complaining they were too thick, soggy, and bland. Frustrated, Crumb decided to play a little trick. He sliced the potatoes razor thin, fried them until they were crunchy, and sprinkled on an excessive amount of salt, thinking the customer would finally be annoyed. To his shock, the guest absolutely loved them and asked for more. Soon, other diners wanted the same crispy, salty treat. Word spread quickly, and what began as an act of annoyance turned into one of the world's most beloved snacks, potato chips. A true accident that changed snacking forever. Number 7. Tea bags, a sip of convenience. In the early 1900s, New York tea merchant Thomas Sullivan was looking for a cheaper way to send tea samples to his customers. Instead of using costly metal tins, he packed small portions of tea into little silk bags. His idea was simply to save money on packaging, but his customers misunderstood the concept. Rather than cutting open the bags, they dipped them straight into hot water. To their delight, the tea brewed perfectly inside the pouch, clean, quick, and incredibly convenient. Soon, people began asking Sullivan for more of those ready-to-use tea bags. Realizing he had stumbled upon something revolutionary, he officially began selling tea this way. What started as an accident became a global, billion-dollar tea industry. Number 6. Matchsticks, a spark of genius. In 1826, British chemist John Walker was busy experimenting in his lab when he noticed a strange, crusty lump at the tip of his mixing stick. Curious, he scraped it against the floor, and to his surprise, it burst into flames. That fiery accident gave birth to the world's very first friction match. Walker realized he had discovered something revolutionary, but instead of patenting it, he chose to leave it open for the world. He believed such a useful invention should benefit everyone, not just his own pocket. Soon, other inventors copied and refined his design, and matches spread across the globe. From lighting candles to campfires, this small but powerful invention became an everyday essential. Number 5. Ice cream cones, a sweet solution. In 1904, at the famous St. Louis World's Fair, people were lining up for delicious scoops of ice cream. But one vendor faced a big problem. he ran out of bowls to serve his customers. Just then, Ernest Hamwee, a nearby vendor selling a crispy, waffle-like pastry called zalabia, stepped in with a clever idea. He rolled one of his pastries into the shape of a cone and handed it over. The ice cream seller placed a scoop inside, and suddenly a new way of enjoying ice cream was born. The crowd went wild for this fun, portable, and tasty invention. What began as a last-minute solution quickly turned into a worldwide dessert sensation, the iconic ice cream cone. Number 4. Cornflakes, breakfast by accident. In the late 1800s, brothers John and Will Kellogg were running a health-focused hospital. Part of their job was preparing simple, wholesome meals for patients. One day, they accidentally left a batch of wheat dough sitting out overnight. By the time they returned, it had gone stale, but instead of throwing it away, they decided to roll it out. To their surprise, it flaked into thin, crunchy pieces when baked. John saw it as a health food, but Will had a bigger vision. He replaced wheat with corn, added a bit of sugar, and marketed it as a tasty breakfast cereal. In 1906, he founded the Kellogg Company, and cornflakes quickly became a breakfast staple worldwide. Number 3. Vaseline, healing from oil. In the 1800s, chemist Robert Chesebrew visited oil drilling sites and noticed something unusual. Workers were using a greasy byproduct from the machinery to soothe cuts and burns. Fascinated, Chesebrew took samples and began experimenting in his lab. After refining the thick residue, he created a smooth, clear jelly that he named Vaseline. At first, people were skeptical. Who would want to rub oil waste on their skin? To prove its healing power, Chesebrew performed bold demonstrations, even burning himself on purpose and applying Vaseline to show quick recovery. He was so convinced of its benefits that he ate a spoonful every day. Amazingly, he lived to the age of 96, and Vaseline became a household essential worldwide. Number 2. Microwave oven, cooking by accident. In the 1940s, engineer Percy Spencer was working on radar technology using magnetrons, tubes that generate microwaves. One day, while standing near an active magnetron, he discovered that a chocolate bar in his pocket had completely melted. Intrigued, he placed popcorn kernels in front of the device, and they popped instantly, the first microwave popcorn. Realizing the potential, Spencer developed a massive machine called the Radorange. It was powerful but impractical, costing thousands of dollars and weighing as much as a small car. At first, people were hesitant, even fearing radiation. But as technology advanced, the microwave oven became smaller, safer, and affordable. By the 1970s, it was a kitchen essential, revolutionizing the way we cook and reheat food. Number 1. Chocolate chip cookies, a sweet mistake. In 1938, Ruth Wakefield, owner of the famous Toll House Inn in Massachusetts, was baking her regular batch of chocolate cookies when she realized she had run out of cocoa powder. Thinking quickly, she chopped up a Nestle chocolate bar into small chunks and mixed them into the dough, expecting the pieces to melt completely and blend in. But when the cookies came out of the oven, the chocolate chunks had held their shape, creating a brand new dessert, the very first chocolate chip cookies. They were an instant hit with her guests. Nestle saw the opportunity, began selling pre-cut chocolate chips, and even printed Ruth's recipe on their packaging. In return, she received a lifetime supply of chocolate.